Hey, you guys. It's been a while, hasn't it? But MTR has returned. The prodigal son has returned. Well, you guys, this is Comics After Dark. Not for long. I know you saw that Instagram post and you were like, oh no. What does the final episodes mean? And I probably should have fixed this camera right off the bat, so I'm going to do it right now while I got the chance. Nope, couldn't do it, you guys. I apologize. But yes, Comics After Dark is coming to this final episodes, but that doesn't mean Comics After Dark isn't going to continue. We got some special things, some news that's going to be announced a little bit later. But enough about that. We have a very special guest today. We have Matt from Nerdy Pop. Hey. He's on the camera. He's on that camera right there.
Hi.
So we're just gonna geek out and talk about a whole bunch of comic book stuff, nerdy stuff, geeky stuff. I mean, Matt has several things in his sleeve, so he gets to talk about all the awesome projects, including flying. The one thing you will probably never catch MTR doing. I absolutely hate flying. I think
really?
It is. Yeah, I think I can't do it, dude. It's just like, look, like me and up there, not okay. Me in the ocean, not okay. Me on land, I'm happy.
All right.
I'm a happy clan. But nonetheless, you do that in several other things. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. We recently did a Nerdy Pop, and of course, I told you guys to go listen to it. It's awesome. We have an hour and a half of me just being mad at the comic book movie universe, which is not fun.
No, it's great.
But Matt, you do Nerdy Pop. You've done a few other podcasts. So let's go ahead. First off, let's talk about Nerdy Pop.
Sure.
You recently brought back Nerdy Pop. Originally, you were doing stuff with Rob Liefeld. You guys were kind of putting out videos, and then slowly but surely the videos became a little shorter and shorter. And the last recent one was Rogue One, and you guys took a little bit of a hiatus.
That's right. Yeah. We were doing a web show, and we gave it, I think it was a big experiment. Neither of us had done that kind of thing before, and so we were trying it out. We were playing around, having fun, and then things changed, and Rob had other opportunities and moved on to different things, and but I never could quite let go of the idea of Nerdy Pop. I loved the name and the brand and the idea of it. I just love geeking out about stuff. So we tried it a couple different ways, but the video production side just became, such a beast. So we brought it back as a podcast.
But, I remember back when we were at KPFK and we brought you on, and I totally suggested on there, you need Justin Timberlake just once to go Nerdy Pop.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll be good.
For sure. No, that's still the goal. That's still, if that doesn't happen, then I will feel as though I have failed in life. If at some point I don't just hear the Nerdy Pop, you gotta, it has to happen.
Like a bubble burst immediately after.
Exactly.
That'll be the new thing. That'll be the new theme like scroll or whatever title. Sorry, you guys, it's early in the morning for us right now.
That's when we'll know we'll have made it. That's when we know we made it. If Justin Timberlake does that for us.
But you currently have a new co-host that's been helping you on Nerdy Pop.
Yeah. So my buddy Jeff Bachman, we've known each other for 6-7 years now. We're good buddies. He married me and my wife, and we've done a ton of stuff together. And then we had started another podcast, I think I told you, sort of as a joke, about a year and a half ago.
Yes.
And our wives like to watch the Bachelor shows, and they would make us watch, and we'd sit and make fun of these shows, and we thought we were hilarious, of course. And so we were like, we should totally record ourselves and make a podcast or something out of it. And so at the next season premiere, we showed up at their house to watch, and I showed up with microphones and was like, we're doing a podcast. And we literally just made it up on the spot, put no effort into the thing at all. All these other things that you kill yourself to try and make them work and whatever. And then this, we put zero effort into, and of course it just took off. So that's bros before rose, men who watch The Bachelor.
So there you go, you guys. If you're interested in The Bachelor, or if you're not,
we make fun of it pretty good. We made our tagline. We watch The Bachelor so you don't have to. So a lot of our listeners actually write in and are like, I don't
I
even
don't
watch
watch
the
it.
show.
Watch
I
it.
just listen to you guys.
Matt, I need you more in my life then, because you need to start going and watching movies for me that I can't make it to.
Right, exactly.
So speaking of movies, you recently watched Venom, and you guys also put out a review through Nerdy.
We did, yeah.
What did you think of Venom?
It was
Not good. That's how you know, because it said,
Well, here's the thing. I judge movies based on what I go to see them for, if that makes sense. So if I'm gonna go see a big summer popcorn flick, I'm not looking for Shakespeare. You know what I mean? I'm looking for, did it succeed as a big summer popcorn flick? This one, it had a ton of flaws. I mean, just a ton of flaws, but it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. Like it was a fun ride. It wasn't. There's a ton of things you could pick apart about it. I think I said I'd give it a like C plus B minus, but
you get an A for effort.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some of the acting was uneven, and there just was a lot of rushed plot development that didn't make sense to me. But overall, did I have a good time? Yeah. Would I go see it again in the theater? No, I wouldn't. But do I regret seeing it the first time? No, absolutely not. We Jeff and I had a good time. We laughed, and it was fun. It was disappointing in that I think I was hoping for something a little scarier or something a little more intense.
Yeah, they kind of made it seem like it was like that, huh? They made it seem like it was this really big like thrill ride of like just all this craziness and just like this intense Venom, and it just ended up. I hadn't seen it, but of course I talked to everybody, and I'm the type of person that's like, spoilers, give them to me, dude.
I am too. Let's talk about. I want to know because I do not avoid spoilers at all.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I see a movie and not know pretty much everything that's going to happen. And I don't feel like, for me, I don't feel like that takes anything away from it. I almost enjoy it more, and I think it's because if I don't know what's going to happen, I've imagined something insanely better in my mind, or just even ratcheted up the expectations to a point that's insane that'll never be met, and then it doesn't live up to that because especially if it's like a movie everybody's been talking about, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be amazing, and if I don't know,
it's the appetizer before the main course, man. You get a little nibbly, and you're like, oh my god, like I'm hungry, I want more, and then finally when you get that main course, you're just like, yes.
But I am careful about it because I do know other people it does ruin it for. So I try to be sensitive to other people and not spoil things unless they want to. But like my wife finally has realized that most of the time when we watch a movie or a TV show or something, I've already read up the whole plot. I know what's happening ahead of time. But again, for me, it doesn't ruin it. For her, I think it would. I think she would be like, "Well, what's the point?" If I already know what's going to happen.
Like, why would you do this to me?
Yeah,
you just look at her and you're like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say any of that."
Right. Well, and it's interesting to see how they're going to pull it. Like you might know that this is what's going to happen, but how does that come across, and do they do that well? And then sometimes you hear things that you're like, really, they did that? But then you see it and you're like, oh, because the way they did it, it actually makes sense, or it's believable, or or I don't know. There are times where you hear, oh, they did that, and then you go see it and you're like, that wasn't believable. Like they didn't pull that off at all.
That's kind of how I felt with like Infinity War when I ended up going in, because I had read I texted someone and I was like, hey, like what's the dead count? Like, text me who died.
Right.
And she's like, are you sure? And I go, right. Text it to me. Tell me. So she told me, and I was like, really? Like, she's like, yeah, and this is the order of it too. So I'm going in knowing the order, and I was just kind of like, oh, like I'm expecting all Loki deaths. Some like crazy choked out, like, so I'm like, yeah, and then it's like Gamora, no blood, laying on the floor. I was like, oh. All right, well, I guess she's dead. So I'm expecting rated R. It totally got PG-13.
Right. Well, I mean, and it is. It's PG-13. Yeah. But did you see? I just saw yesterday that now the rumors are that Guardians 3 has been pushed back to. It's not even going to be filmed until 2021.
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
But it's just a rumor. But it was going around yesterday, and I'm like, dude, because they were supposed to start filming next year.
Production. Yeah.
So they were supposed to be in pre-production by now and be shooting by the end of the year, beginning of the next year.
And Mark Hamill was supposed to be a part of the third one. I don't know if that's.
I didn't hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess like James Gunn lives like right down the street from like Mark Hamill, and he was like, hey, like, would you like to like be in my movie? And he's like, dude, come talk to me. So there was tweets that were shared between them. So I was having a feeling that they were gonna lean in on that. The only way that I think they could save Guardians is if they actually go with the old school Guardians. Remember how we had Sylvester Stallone in like the post credit scene? I think that would be the way to like. That would be the way to save Guardians.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do now. I mean, this was supposed to be the third one was supposed to close out this trilogy, but that it was all James Gunn. I mean, that was all him. Like
literally writing the script,
directing everything.
It was his baby.
The rumor is that they're still gonna use his script, but obviously he's not gonna direct it. I don't
think even Batista is gonna be a part of it though, because he's protesting.
Oh, he's pissed.
Oh yeah,
and he wants to be a part of James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie if he does it.
I heard that as well. And you know,
he could be Bane. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. I can see it. I can see his Bane, or like maybe even just like somebody else that uses the Venom as well.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, Batista is Bane. He's Hispanic too, isn't he?
Right.
It would make sense. And then he could break the bat later on. But who's our Batman? DC Universe, what are you doing?
Oh, man.
I'm so confused.
Here's the problem.
So confused.
They don't have the answer to that question. Nobody at DC knows the answer to the question, DC, what are you doing? They don't know. This is such a... I mean, what a freaking mess over there.
Right.
They have no idea what they're doing. And... they've had so many opportunities to get it together and they haven't taken any of them.
I feel like nobody's on the same, not just the same, not even wavelength, communication link. Like I feel like there are too many departments that just aren't coming together and being like, hey, you guys, like, weren't we supposed to be making like another Justice League movie? And someone else was like, dude, I got this script for like Suicide Squad 2. I mean, that's part of the what Joker are we using now? And then Matt Reeves was like, well, I got a contract over here saying that I'm making the next Joker. What fucking Joker is that? It's Joaquin Phoenix. When the fuck did we bring on Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker? It's just like they know nothing.
It's such a mess, man. It's such a mess. And then now the rumors the last 2 weeks have been that Henry Cavill's out as Superman.
Yes.
The rumors forever have been that Ben Affleck's out as Batman. So we're going to lose Superman, the Superman and Batman that we've had. To me, that goes, okay, well, then that continuity is over. But we're not getting rid of Wonder Woman or Aquaman because they're potentially... I mean, Wonder Woman did so well, and then we'll see how Aquaman does. So how do you negotiate that? Can you just recast Superman and Batman in the middle of something big?
You know what you do is I think the only way is to do it is you lean into Flashpoint. At this point,
right, but they just pushed Flashpoint back again to 2021. That got pushed back this week, and I know, like, so my a friend of mine,
who will be no, I'm joking.
No, she's awesome. She's a writer in Hollywood and has a show coming out on CBS called Fam, and but her husband is John Francis Daley, who was hired, and I don't know any inside scoop, and I actually have not met him. I have not seen her since they got married, but they hired him and his writing directing partner, Jonathan Goldstein, to write and direct The Flash. And so I'm like excited to see, because they worked on Spider-Man Homecoming, they did Game Night, they've done some fun movies like that.
Good movies.
So I'm kind of like, that's kind of a cool, different, they know how to bring that fun vibe, and I'm interested to see how that's going to turn out. So I was super bummed to read this week that it got pushed back 2 years.
Yeah.
And they're saying because Ezra Miller,
because he's currently within the Harry Potter universe.
Exactly, and they're going to start doing the third Fantastic Beasts movie next summer, and so it's going to get bumped. So everything's just DC. It's like every week, it's like, what disappointment are you going to hand my way? You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
On Nerdy Pop, I do on Thursdays I do the nerdy news, and every week it's like, okay, if there's a positive DC thing, it's going to be TV. If it's a negative and then it's going to be film. And there's always something negative film-wise to report. Always. There's just every week, and I'm like, this sucks, man.
This is horrible.
I said when you were on Nerdy Pop, I'm a DC guy. I grew up on the DC characters, not on Marvel. I never was a big Spider-Man fan. I am now with the movie stuff. I've gotten into all that, and I've gone back a little bit, but I grew up on Batman. I grew up on Superman, Green Lantern. How do you friggin' screw up Green Lantern? Like, that made me so mad.
You screwed up by by leaning towards the kids and like making it
for sure,
kiddish.
Yeah.
But you know what? I still kind of like the Green Lantern movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I like it for what it is. I don't like it in the fact of like the acting is a little Adam West campy-ish.
Yeah.
And it's like someone was like, "Oh yeah, DC." Like, there's just somebody at fucking Warner Brothers that's always like, "Oh, DC, Adam West, Batman," and it's like, "No, you fucking curmudgeon! Like, it's not that. Stop leaning towards that." And they always do it.
And I just don't get it because they had, they keep doing this. They had, Michael Keaton. They had the Batman thing in the late 80s, early 90s that was like, oh, this is rad. And then they ruined that with Joel Schumacher. And then they had, Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. And you're like, okay, cool. You've got something cool to build upon. No, let's do something stupid and get Zack Snyder in here.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't understand. They build good foundations and then they refuse to build upon them. They decide, no, let's destroy that and build a crappier thing.
I mean, it's the same thing with the old school Supermans, man. Do you remember
yeah.
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace with Richard Pryor? You guys got to think about this. Everybody's like, dude, we had such good Superman movies. No, you didn't. You lie because it eventually got switched into something else.
No, 1 and 2 were good. 3 was the Richard Pryor one, and then 4, The Quest for Peace with Nuclear Man, and I mean, that was so horrible. And and even as a kid, when as a kid you look at something and you go, that sucks. It's bad. Like, I saw Superman 4, The Quest for Peace in theaters as a kid because I'm old, and I remember thinking, it's like when I went to see Star Trek 5. As a kid, I was like, wait, what? That was crap. Like,
wait, was Star Trek 5 with the whales?
No, that was
That's
4. 4, that was great. 5 was when they went to find God at the end of the universe.
Oh, yeah.
And William Shatner directed it, and it was just like they had sold out on the special effects and the acting, just everything about it. You're like, I go back and watch it now, and every once in a while I'll put on. I love to every once in a while put on a movie that I know is crappy just to see if it's as crappy as I remember it being.
Oh gosh, I can't do that. Like Ghost Rider. Oh god, did you see Ghost Rider in theaters?
No. Nick Cage just. Yeah. So, who, what, where?
Always screaming.
There's treasure
something.
in the Statue of Liberty. We gotta go.
That is a great fucking impression.
So
you need to do that more often. That's a new Nerdy Pop segment. Nerding with Nick Cage.
Here's the crazy. I've never done that before. That was the first right time. There. I experimented live on your show. So no, but I mean, there's just like a couple of years ago, I turned on Batman and Robin. I made it 15 minutes in. I'm like, this is way worse than I even remembered it being. This is so terrible. And you just go, how do you screw these things up? Like, you're handed. Star Trek 5, perfect example. Star Trek 4 was the biggest, most successful one, whatever. And then they just like, oh, okay, well, we're not even going to try on the next one.
Well, see, Star Trek is kind of like, it's like Freddy Krueger. And then in the sense of people are like, what, horror and sci-fi? Let me finish real quick. The fact of the matter, it's like opposite of Freddy Krueger. So like with Freddy Krueger, every odd movie is good and every even one sucks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now with Star Trek, every even movies are good. It is, yeah. And all the odd ones suck.
I think around the time Nemesis came out, that fell apart. But it made it for a long time on the evens. I mean, and Nemesis obviously killed the Next Generation thing and everything, although they're bringing back Picard as a TV show,
I heard.
Which I'm stoked on. I love.
So
I'm
is
a
that
huge
supposed
Star
to be
Trek
a prequel?
nerd. No, they're saying as much time has passed since Nemesis as has passed in real life.
No,
so they want to catch up with Picard where he's at, and yeah, I'm stoked on that. Like I that was my nerd out as a kid. I grew up on Star Trek, and so even bad Star Trek, I'm like, bring it, give me something. Like I just knew more Star Trek is great. I love it. It's just. I'm a nerd like that.
So I got a question for you.
Do it.
Will Wheaton. He's older now.
He is.
Bring him back in.
I like Will Wheaton. I do. I like Will Wheaton. I think he's funny to follow online and he writes funny things. Can he act? I'm still not convinced. But, a cameo might not be a bad thing to like throw in just for all the fans to hate on a little bit.
he acts pretty good when he's playing those board games on YouTube. With his he gets a special guest appearance on Big Bang maybe once a season.
It, yeah.
And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a good guy though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think I could beat him at some board games. I'm not going to lie. But the fact of the matter is, maybe acting after that, I don't know. You are right.
Yeah.
But with that being said, do we bring back the old crew?
What do you mean by the old, the
Like
next
as
generation
much as we
crew?
can, yeah.
I mean, I don't see how they. I mean, it would be to me be unbelievable to tell a story in which Picard has completely lost touch with all of the people that he did most of his life with.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think they're going to have to pop back in cameos or have different things. But they have said there was speculation at first that it was going to be just a limited series, like one season type thing. They've said that they're planning on going multiple seasons with it. So
That's good.
It could bring people in. Hopefully. I feel like they'll come in with a kind of a long-term plan, and it'll bring people in at different points or something like that.
Now, real quick, just because I'm out of the loop on
Sure.
it, what is that going to be aired on?
That'll be on CBS All Access.
Okay, so it's going to be the digital.
Yeah, their goal from what they're saying. So they put oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. What's the guy? The producer. Shoot, he was involved in the new Star Trek movies, and then he was involved in Discovery. And,
J.J. Abrams?
No, one of his guys though. I can see his face. Kurtzman? Robert? Is it
Robert Kirkman? No.
Not Kirkman.
I was like,
Alex. I don't remember. Shoot, I get all those guys mixed up.
Here,
Roberto
I got you
Orci.
right now. What? He's the producer of this?
Yeah. They've made him basically the Kevin Feige of the new Star Trek universe that they're trying to create on TV. So the goal anyway is to basically have multiple Star Trek things going on, not at the same time.
You were right, Alec Kurtzman. Yes, you were correct.
There you go. So and so he's kind of overseeing this and creating these different shows. There's rumors there's an animated show in the works. There's different things. But they've said they want to have something Star Trek on almost all the time, not overlapping because they don't want to saturate. But yeah. So for me, I'm like, that's my utopian world that I want to live in.
What is it about Star Trek that like just you enjoy it so much?
I think I've always been attracted to techie future stuff. Like I liked Star Wars growing up, and I appreciate it more now because Star Wars had such great character and sort of the saga of it all. Yeah. But I was attracted to Star Trek because it was more sci-fi. Star Wars is fantasy. Star Trek's a little more sci-fi.
Yeah. If you like outlaw and gunsmen, you go with like Star Wars.
Yeah. And
if you like continuity and like these like just awesome long storylines, you go with Star Trek.
Yes. And so I don't know. I've just always gravitated toward that. I find it fascinating. I think they've built a big universe that they keep expanding on, and there's lots of nuance to that. I always find that interesting. They did it in a way where they did it sort of slowly, whereas something like Lord of the Rings, where it's this massive universe that you're walking into and you got to figure it all out right. Like they just keep throwing names at you and you're like, what the hell, man? I can't keep up. But with Star Trek, it was like they started with this show and then they added this and then these things came in later, whatever, and developed like, oh, what's the background of the Klingons and all that stuff. So you can kind of get into it that way, but it's also just kind of it's got a mix of that sci-fi fantasy, but also a little bit of escapism fun to it. And I just enjoy it.
I love the OG Star Trek beyond belief, and even more now that like they digitally remastered stuff and they kind of added stuff here. And in my head, I'm like, man, they had great effects in that day. My buddy's like, no, this is new, and I'm like, oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah,
but and it's still great to watch this because like the stories definitely like they sometimes go really out there and really far fetched, but there's some that are just like, wow, man, like I can't believe you guys first off thought of this, second off pulled it off.
Oh, for sure.
Like they worked with what they had and worked with it greatly. Yeah,
definitely there are swings and misses on certain things, but they did well with what they did and with what they had at the time.
Like Mirror Mirror, where it's like if you just have an evil mustache,
exactly,
you're a bad guy.
I love that. That's so good. You give Spock a goatee, he is evil. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
I love it. Well, you also have your own company that you run.
I've got a couple. So Rogue Creative Development is my production company, marketing company. We do digital marketing. We do a lot of video work. And then that's That's sort of technically who produces like Nerdy Pop and Bros Before Rose and those podcasts. And then my other company is Rogue Aviation, which is a helicopter flight school. And we do
never catch me down on that. Not if your life depended on it.
We also do aerial video work there, high-end aerial video work from the helicopters. But yeah, it's super fun. I wanted to, because we did, so one of the last things we did with Nerdy Pop when it was a video thing, I don't know if you saw this, but we did helicopter karaoke.
Oh God. First off, that's awesome.
It was so much fun.
That is awesome. Second off, you'll have to blindfold me and put like something over my ears and be like, "Don't worry about it." If you ever want me to do that,
we had so much fun. My friend Kamari Copeland, she's a singer. She was on like Glee and stuff, and then a friend of hers, who's now a friend of mine, AJ Raphael, who's a big YouTube guy, and we just went up and did like 90s rap songs and 90s hip hop songs and stuff, and flew around, and we made it. It's so funny. We had so many technical difficulties doing it, but that we ended up having to. I think we shot 4 different days flying.
Oh wow!
Because there was one day we landed, realized none of the audio captured, so that was a waste.
Was it because of like the motor and everything that's going on?
No, it just we hadn't ever done recording through the because you're using the headphones and stuff in the helicopter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so there was a lot of learning curve on that.
Okay.
So it's when you watch the final thing, it's like spliced together of like 4. You can't really tell, but it's like 4 different days. We're in completely different locations. Like one we're out flying around Catalina, one we're like and it just kind of jumps around, but it was super fun. And anyway, I've thought about like occasionally like doing like a podcast episode while we're flying or something. That's like awesome. That, do some, just mix it up.
I'd never call me for that. Man. Never call me for that.
You'll listen, but you won't.
Oh yeah, but I'll watch and even be frightful and be like, I don't know about it. The only thing that I know anything about flying at all, period. It's only one fun fact, and it has nothing to do with flying. Well, it has something to do with flying, but like technically nothing at the same time. So there is a ride over in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Technically California Adventure. It used to be the Hollywood Tower of Terror. Now it's Guardians of the Galaxy Escape Ride.
Yep.
Well, you would know this. For buildings that are over 200 feet, you have to put a red light at the top. So like at night when people are flying in, they could see exactly where it's at.
Yep.
Well, they didn't want it to ruin the ambiance. So they literally have built that tower to 199 feet, just a foot below.
Really?
Yes.
See, that's fascinating. Disneyland is one of 2 amusement parks, the other one, of course, being Disney World, in the entire country that has been granted by the FAA a TFR, which is a temporary flight restriction around it. They call it a temporary flight restriction, but it's a permanent one. There. It's always there. These are things
that in Area 51, the 2 places.
These are things they put up over like Dodger games and stuff like that, but that last for like 4 hours, and you can't fly over during that time without permission or whatever. But Disneyland has a permanent one, and
24 hours, 7 days a week,
always, and it's been since like early 2000s. So I think they got it not long after 9/11. So I have gotten permission many times to fly over it, but you have to get permission. You can't, you have to stay on your course, whatever. So it's interesting that they would even have to abide by that rule when technically
no one can even fly
aircraft
over
aren't supposed to be even flying, especially anywhere near that low of 200 feet. 200 feet is not high. 200 feet is
for you, okay?
Right.
You're already the Jolly Green Giant compared to me, okay? An extra foot on me, I would be scared. Look, I wear boots and I get an extra 2 inches. I'm like, this is too high. This is way too high. I need to get down.
All right.
But with flying, how exactly does all that go? Because I know nothing about flying, and that seems like, first off, extremely difficult. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, you have to know like airwaves and like the way things happen and how to react in turbulence. And I can barely handle recording a podcast and doing these 5 things on my own, let alone doing that.
It is insane. It's it's part of what, because I started out way back when I did a master's in education and taught high school for a while, and I love education and theory and all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of a nerd about that stuff, but so when I got into aviation, had no idea the stuff you had. Like, you go to the DMV to get your license to drive a car. You just got to show them you can drive a car and answer a few questions about the laws.
Yeah, you're good. Done.
When you go to get your helicopter license, you got to know physics. You got to know like how the engine works. I mean, you start like things that all the mechanics of it, the systems of the helicopter, communications.
You have to repair your own helicopter. It's like, who told you that? Like, I don't even do that for my car.
I'm just like, and I just remember sitting there going, oh my gosh, I never thought I was gonna have to learn all this stuff. I'm not a science guy, like that's just not, I never got science. I was an English and, history kind of guy. So learning physics and all of that is crazy. And then on top of that, you look at a plane. Planes look like birds. They look like, okay, I get how that flies. Like it just aerodynamic, like it can glide, whatever. Helicopters don't. You look at those, you're like, it shouldn't do it. That shouldn't do that. So
in fact, I read like maybe like a year or two ago, I was looking at helicopters. How exactly does it fly? And then that's when I saw that like it's like basically it sucks in the air to like push you up, correct?
Yes, in a very simplified way.
How dare you? It's as far as I can go, okay?
I don't want to get too... It gets crazy. I mean, the best way I can describe it is, you ever going driving down the road and put your arm out the window, and if you have it straight out, it cuts through the air. If you tilt your hand even just a slight bit, your hand starts to go up. That's what the blades on the helicopter are doing. So you're just changing the angle just a slight bit, and it's amazing. You start to get this lift, and there's a lot more to it, obviously, but it's super complicated. So we started this flight school because for a number of reasons. One,
because you love flying.
I love flying. We really wanted to focus on safety. There's a lot of flight schools who unfortunately are cutting corners on safety and maintenance, and
that's horrible.
People are getting hurt. And we wanted a place for ourselves where we could go and be like, we didn't have to worry about those things because we knew it was being taken care of. And it realized, okay, then we need to provide it. And so with that, and then just building a kind of cool flight community of people who want that same thing. So we've gotten to do that. It's been really, really fun. And yeah, we've got about 20 something students right now. We got 4 helicopters and we're having a good time. It's really fun.
You just give me anxiety just talking about it, man. So what would you suggest for someone like me that's maybe scared of heights and then maybe wants to be a part of this?
Well, see, the interesting thing with the helicopter is I get a lot of people who are like, I don't know, I'm scared of heights. I'm not sure about heights. And then if I can get them to come for a flight, after we take off, they're like, it's not really a heights thing, and it doesn't trigger that thing in them that's afraid of heights. You feel like you're floating in a bubble, sort of,
That's even worse. That's even worse. Look, man, I already have a hard time being in a tube, like in the sky. Like, let's just say this.
Good.
So at Knott's Berry Farm,
I
shouldn't even say Knott's Berry Farm, but I guess I could because of roller coasters. But at Knott's Soak City, they have that. They have like 2 giant slides that are next to each other. There's the one that like has the little hills and it just goes down, down, down.
Yeah.
But then they have the actual one with the drop. It's not even a straight drop.
Okay.
It's actually like at just a really like crazy slope. So I went into that, and I don't know if I pushed myself or what happened, but I remember going down and I actually like threw my arms out and legs and stopped myself in the tube before dropping. And I was like, oh my God.
I know you're not supposed to do that.
Oh yeah. And that's exactly the thing. I'm like, wait, you're not supposed to do this. I'm like, all right, well, I just got across and take the ride. Doing that was the most horrific feeling in the world for me. I don't know if I can handle that.
It's not for everyone. It's not. And
if you want a funny video, we're going to go flying.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, it's not for everybody, but it's for people who, like I was thinking about it today. I'm like, we're still kind of in the first century of all of history where we've had the option to like fly as a career or as a thing, like that's
without being like a licensed pilot and doing it for like the not Boeing but like Southwest and stuff like that. Now it's becoming a little more tinier, a little more community.
Well, even that, 100 years ago planes were just becoming a thing, so it's like
how many more wings can you add to make this thing fly? And they're like, no, that's not the way it happens.
In the history of the world of thousands and thousands of years or whatever, millions of years or who knows, whatever, we were still in the infancy of flight. And so it's for me, I'm like, this is such a cool thing to be a part of, that like, people for ever have looked up at birds and gone, I want to do that. That's like, why we get stuck on the ground, and we finally figured out a way to let us do it.
Or they're like me and they just look, there's dinner. Yeah, you know what, Matt? If you can convince me enough, I might get on a plane. But you're gonna have to get a GoPro or something, dude.
Oh, heck
you're
yeah.
you're gonna laugh so hard, and I'm gonna be like, stop laughing.
That'd be great.
It's not funny, and you're like, why are you crying? I'm like, you don't understand, man. You don't understand. And knowing you'll be like, let's just drop a little bit. Let's just drop a little bit. I'll be like, I hate you. I hate you.
Scare the hell out of you a little bit.
So, are you going to continue doing the helicopter karaoke?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We haven't been doing any video stuff for the new podcast. We've just been doing audio. But, you know, if it starts to do well, we'll put more time and effort into it. You know, we're kind of feeling it out as we go. Obviously, I've got a lot of things going on, and Jeff does as well. And so we want to do it. We want to do anything we want to do. We want to be able to do well. So I don't want to commit to like, oh, we're gonna start doing all this video stuff when we know like it'll be every once in a while because we don't have time.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, and even more so, I mean, with podcasting, like there are a few different ways. Obviously, we have the full studio here. Not really as mobile, but there's other ways where you can, you know, plug into a Zoom, you get everything that you need to do, you edit it in post, and then you're good to go. Yeah. Yep. But you do have a beautiful, beautiful studio. You guys, if you followed us on Comics After Dark or That's Life Podcast, I did post a picture of the office, and oh my gosh, am I jealous? While you have this like beautiful, nice floor, I got this room that I'm just like I'm carving as much as I can.
It's awesome.
But you have I mean, chair space, ping pong table, TV, projector, computers, your office, as well as my favorite part, you still are holding on to the Nerdy Pop Studio. Yeah,
we still got that. We kind of created it in a way where we could. It could be flexible. We could use it for other things. So we've used it for all kinds of shoots and different things. But we'll still do some stuff in there.
Now, with that being said, where can we find both of Rogue Aviation and as well as Rogue Creative?
Rogue Creative Development is roguecreatives.com and Rogue Aviation is flyrogue.com.
And then, of course, where can we find the Nerdy Pop podcast?
nerdypopshow.com or just look up, Nerdy Pop on
so you made it so
iTunes
easy for us.
Or any of that stuff. Yeah, I try to make it easy. And social media, same thing. Nerdy Pop Show is everywhere. Is at Nerdy Pop Show, and then at Rogue Creatives or at Rogue Aviation. Yeah.
So what are you most excited about for the upcoming geekery that's coming out? Obviously, the Picard show is really going to be the big one, but I'm sure there's other ones. As well.
There's so much. It's such a good time. Like I'm excited to see. I think. I'm excited to see how Avengers 4 wraps up the first phase, sets up the second, or the first 10 years with this kind of crew, and then sets up whatever's coming next.
Is it phase? I think I could be wrong, but I think it's phase 4 next?
We're going into phase 4. So how that gets set up or done, it will be interesting. I'm interested to. Here's what I'm honestly right now. I'm kind of fascinated to wait and see is the new Star Wars movie and how J.J. Abrams deals with a movie that he didn't do. That I know there's going to be things he would not have done, and
you think he's going to try to lean back on like the stuff that he like raised parents and actually address.
I hope he finds a middle ground. I hope he finds some sort of middle ground to where. It still can be I don't know, like it's not quite as trying so hard to be fan pleasing as Force Awakens, but not so hard to be fan, F you as
at least you agree
Jedi was.
That's what Jedi felt like.
That was a huge middle finger to the fans. I think. And it was the weirdest movie for me because I walked out going, that was awesome, I think. And then by that night I was like, wait, I'm not sure that I think it was awesome. And I saw it on Friday. By Sunday, I was like, I freaking hated that movie.
Yeah.
And I went back and saw it again, and it just like aside from huge plot holes that I thought what didn't make any sense, all of a sudden arising. The whole plot is we're out of fuel. Which has never really been a thing in Star Wars before. The slowest
car chase in the cinematic world.
When Laura Dern's character is like gonna ram the big Destroyer or
Yeah.
whatever, the big ship. And I'm like, you have to do that yourself, like all the technology on this thing, and there's no autopilot. You can't set it to do that and leave.
Not one.
Things like that, or the whole side plot of going to the casino planet and all that stuff, where for no reason in the end.
So what you're saying is the next episode between Matt and I is going to be the roast of the Last Jedi.
Oh man, I would have fun.
And
with
with the ramming part, we could totally quote Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm gonna ram him, dude. It was just it was a hot mess, man. It was a hot mess, and like even to the point where I forgot. I want to say it was Screen Rant, but someone was releasing videos of like kind of like what's happening with these movies at the Disney executives and stuff. And out of nowhere, they were like, "Oh man, well, we kill Leia. It ends up being Kylo that ends up killing Leia, and it was really good. And we send her off just into space, and like that's where she dies, and that's going to be the send off." And then the executive's like, "You should bring her back like Mary Poppins." And it's like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, you should bring her back like she comes back into the ship like Mary Poppins." And there's like, I guess we could do that. It goes back to the executive. He's like, I really like Mary Poppins,
right.
And he's like, I think I've got that.
We've got that new Mary Poppins coming out. This is a good tie-in.
Yeah,
It's a good tie-in.
Right? And I don't know. There was just something about that movie that just, like you said, it's just a big giant fuck. Even to the point where Kylo's like, dude, your parents were nobodies. They were just farmers.
Well, and that's the thing.
And it even felt like a lie because it felt like bad acting. It's just like they're nobody. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
When they use the high pitched voice, they're lying.
And when you go, to me, it was like Rian Johnson looked back at every mystery, every question that J.J. Abrams set up in the first one and just goes,
shut it
I'm
down.
not going to answer that. I'm not going to, whatever that expectation was, I'm not going to give it to you. Everything. And it's like, okay, if you did that to one thing where you're like, I don't really want to make it about that, whatever. But he did it to every single
the mask,
thing.
the Kylo mask.
Yeah.
Not existing anymore. It was like, wait, wasn't this the whole entire... So now is Kylo his own entity? Like, I'm so freaking confused by everything.
It'll be... So that's what I'm interested to see. Can JJ bring it back around and resolve this story in a way that satisfies everyone? Or, I mean, let's just say no. There's no way to satisfy everyone. That's just not possible.
True.
Because Star Wars fans are insane. But it'll be interesting to see what he does with it.
This is what I will say. Can we blame Rian Johnson or, they did bring on the original writer that did Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, Lawrence Kasdan.
Exactly. So,
well, no, he was working with JJ on Force Awakens. I don't think he did anything on Last Jedi.
Are you sure? I'm gonna check it out.
You fact check me. I'm not sure on that, but I know he was very involved, and then he co-wrote Solo with his son, which is interesting, but yeah, I don't think he had anything to do with Last Jedi.
Which one was Last Jedi? Is that 7 or 8 now? That's 8.
That's 8.
Yep. Let's see.
Who was it written by? I think Rian Johnson wrote it by himself.
I really hope not. All right, I'm gonna pull up the IMDb real quick. IMDb episode.
IMDb is. I mean, what did we do before that?
We guessed and we lied to each other.
Oh, for sure.
Oh. Okay, no, you're right. You're 100% right. Rian Johnson, you are Satan because you wrote it on your own and you directed it on your own. And Disney, how did you approve of this?
Oh man,
you couldn't even approve every deaths that were on Star Wars Rebels. What was your thought behind approving everything for Last? Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was just like they really seemed to give him carte blanche to just do whatever the hell he wanted, and
even to the point where he was going to get his own trilogies after. So it was like, what the fuck?
I don't understand that, and I don't know. It was a bizarre choice for him to do those things. It's a bizarre choice for Kathleen Kennedy to be like, yeah, do that, because she's so she keeps a strong hold on that universe. I don't know.
I think it was just honestly the only thing that I could think of is breath of fresh air.
Maybe
breath of fresh air, because I don't know. The first one was the 1, 2, and 3 too much politics, and just kind of George Lucas just letting it drive through. And obviously Kathleen Kennedy was still there, but the higher power said otherwise.
Yeah.
Then you have 4, 5, and 6, and 4, 5, and 6 are just beautiful and amazing. The hero's journey to the fullest potential. But in all fairness, the original script of the Star Wars was horrific, and it had to go through a lot of rewrites in order to get where it was. And now where we're at, JJ kind of squeezed the orange too much by getting all the Star Wars juice into it and making it kind of like 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
And then Rian Johnson didn't squeeze enough. So like you said, I think the only way is that there's a happy medium somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and then obviously they screwed themselves over by killing off Luke because they thought, oh, we'll make the next one about Leia. And of course, there's no way they could have predicted that Carrie Fisher was going to die.
Yeah.
So
Force Ghost Luke. Yeah. I'm excited. That could be an awesome thing.
That's for sure happening. Yeah.
Even the crowd agrees with that. Yeah.
Wow, all these people in here with us. It's crazy.
I know, in this tiny room. Who would have guessed it? It's totally not a track.
But thank you. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that.
Matt's just pointing out. He's like,
yeah.
you. Well, watch Matt. Oh,
we got The Rock staring at me over here.
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
You know what? I'm going to totally put it onto The Rock real quick.
I see what The Rock is cooking.
So here, here, I got to lean it back a little bit. There you go. There's The Rock. So we actually have another cutout, too. It's over behind here. On your podcast, Nerdy Papa, I definitely mentioned that I love Valiant. Not only that, but I'm wearing my Exo Manowar shirt right there. But we have Archer and Armstrong, which is a great, amazing comic that I love because basically Archer is he's like part of this like Christian cult that's like we love God and that's exactly who's driving us. So we're the right people to take over the world. So let's just massacre and like send out assassins and kill everybody. So this guy's like he's really godly, but he kills everybody.
Manifest destiny, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
So but then you have Armstrong, which Armstrong is like the brother of the Eternal Warrior.
Yeah.
So he lives like forever, but he hates that he lives forever, so he just fucking gets drunk constantly. So like you have like the goody two shoes, and then you have like the cussing alcoholic, and they just make like a great, awesome team.
That's funny.
So I planned on putting that up right there. I don't know why I didn't.
All right.
I have no idea why I didn't.
You got to give yourself. You always got to have something else to do.
Yeah.
If you do it all, if you just put everything up at the same time, then what do you got to do? So you gotta pace yourself.
Slowly but surely.
You gotta pace yourself.
What we used to have, the wall behind you was entirely covered with comic book posters.
Okay.
But then one, everything reflected. First off, two, I mean, we have other shows on the network, so we were kind of like, Hunt for the Paranormal has nothing to do with Comics After Dark. But yeah, so. You know what? We're going to get into this briefly. So if you guys, like I said, on Instagram, you saw that Comics After Dark. We're on our last episodes. I know. I'm sorry, you guys.
It's sad.
It is.
Do you have a crowd going, oh.
No, I have this one. Yes,
oh, there you go.
Or here, we could do this one.
You're fucking high! Are you out of your mind?
Yes, I know. I'm sorry, you guys. Unfortunately, Comics After Dark's been going for 5 years. Well, not Comics After Dark particularly. It started off as Undercity Chaos.
Okay.
I started that over at Undercity Comics down the street in Whittier, California. From there, we parted ways, and I kind of wanted to continue doing comics, but I didn't want to be confined to the comic book shop, so I started Comics After Dark. And you know what? I love podcasting. I love doing it. I love everything about it, but unfortunately, I felt like I'm leaning into the comics a little too hard, and it doesn't give me any wiggle room at all. So I have a feeling that I had a great idea today, and I leaned towards the rest of RattHaus Productions. I was like, you know what? I think it's time for a rebranding. And they're like, okay, cool. And originally, if this was through like 2 years ago, I'd be like, no, there's no way.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. But now in this day and age, it seems like everybody's kind of doing it, even to the point where we have Fat Man on Batman. Kevin Smith is doing his thing. But he recently rebranded, and now it's Fat Man Beyond.
Oh, yeah.
So now he's continuing. He's rebranding.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna rebrand it and make it a little more broad and a little more interesting for us.
Yeah.
So we're not just confined to comic book news, especially where I want to really focus on the comic book writers and artists. But sometimes I want to focus on other things.
Yeah.
So Matt, since you're in marketing, what do you think about this idea?
I think it's great. I mean, that's been sort of. you know, I mean, we talked about even obviously Comic-Con San Diego is kind of like the physical manifestation of this, but like pop culture is just coming together now. Like the fact that my wife knows about these superheroes at all, things have changed. The fact
Do you remember when Gwen Stacy died? You're like, you read that comic? And she was like, no, in the movie. You're like,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
right,
I read
exactly.
that.
You know, or the fact that like Star Trek is something that like people go to see that you don't get made fun of for anymore. That's amazing for me.
Yeah, right?
You know, growing up, it was like the deep secret that
You're like,
you
finally,
like Star Trek. But and I think it's a different day. So that, you know, with Nerdy Pop, that was sort of our thing from the beginning. Is like anything that we would nerd out about. I mean, we'll talk about music. We'll talk about whatever. I mean, yes, a lot of that's going to be comic book movies or TV shows and things like that, because that's some of the stuff that we love the most. But dude, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself.
Man, see, Matt has my support. You guys better too. That's all I gotta say. Of course, Matt, last but not least, where can we find you on the internet?
I am at Matthew Barnes on Instagram and Twitter, and I think I'm Barnes9 on Facebook or something like that. And yeah, I think that's it. I got in apparently early enough to get my actual name on things.
Oh yeah, I need to. I don't know if I should do that. Should no. I think I should do
I couldn't get Matt
MTR.com.
Barnes, but I could get.
Oh my gosh, trip out on this. I can't get RattHaus.com.
Really?
I don't know who. Some random dude in like Arizona owns it. Yeah. And to the only research that I could do, there's someone else in Arizona. There in that particular area. That's the only thing I can think of is that the guy owns RattHaus.
Oh.
And it's RattHaus.
Yeah.
So he's selling hot dogs, but he like also bought RattHaus. I was like, dude,
no,
I'm not trying to screw you over. Just throw me a bone.
He bought it just in case somebody forgets the B.
Just in case. And it doesn't even lead to his site.
So it's not even a redirect.
No, it's not even a redirect. I'm like, come
okay.
on, man. Come on, dude. You need it. Can you give me back my RattHaus.com? It'd be appreciated.
Give it to him.
So don't worry. Comics After Dark is going, yes, we were on a bit of a hiatus, but we're coming back in full force, and we got some great ideas. That's what I will say. Of course, you guys, head to RattHaus.net, RattHaus.net. Click on the Pop Funko link, man. It is Halloween time, so you're going to get some awesome Halloween Pop Funkos. If you're looking at our video right now, you know, I'm not saying you could get this Han, but let's just say this. If you wanted to get a Han, you might be able to get it through Pop Funko. So go ahead, Pop Funko. Click on the Pop Funko link. You're going to get 10% off of any of the pops that you order on there, as well as go to click on the Teespring link, man. Get a Comics After Dark shirt while you got the chance, because when that rebranding happens, we're not going to be around anymore. All right, you guys, I'm your host, MTR, and special guest, Matt. Make sure to go ahead, subscribe to Nerdy Pop, man. I was on it. I support it. I love it. I've been listening to it for a while, so you should too. And I want to say, keep on comic coming while you got the chance, guys. Later.